life I could have known, one beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold. Things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. From my home, cracked and broken asphalt everywhere. I could have ended up just like that broken road, with a dead end in my path. Thank the Lord that I've got more than that. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I won't forget the lessons.
Well, I said I hate to interrupt him. I'm just going to. 11 Rich Shop Ramblers. We got stuff to talk about. Hey, everybody. This is 1100 WSBI. I'm your Tom Laverne, and this is One Street Over. Welcome. Good morning. Good Thursday morning to you. Oh, we can twist the weekend. Excited. It's been a long week, and I got so much going on. I'm not going to get into that, though, because I have guests in studio. I've got Jamie Nixon from Nixon Pro Media, and but you're officially here in the title of you're with East Robertson Athletics.
That's right.
Right? Did I get that correct?
That is correct.
And I was so excited when I walked in. I saw a Greenbrier Bobcat hanging out with us. Jim Sorrells is the voice of the Bobcats, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. And so this is I'm just so thrilled that we have finally done this. And I know Ilya Maldonado, our president of Ebenezer Broadcasting, is thrilled as well because he's been wanting to tap into local sports because we know we got this awesome facility. We need to be covering the county sports, man. And so, but we've got to have people that are interested in doing that. And so, yay! Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry, I was paying attention. I was listening. I'm just sharing your and so if you're watching,
no, you're fine.
So if you're watching right now, one of the best things that you can do for Laverne is to share every morning. To share the show.
Thank you.
Put it on your Facebook. Let everybody know that Laverne's got great artists, great guests.
Yes.
And you're an artist. You're an artist now. And so that's one thing me and you talked about was just talking about Robertson County sports, bringing this, letting these kids shine. And in a lot of these situations, you have a lot of adults like Jim and myself, and like Terrence Summers, with social media, we got to look at these comments.
Somebody's like, get SHS on. Yes, we know. And I got just a little quick programming note. Brian Pulley messaged me last night, and because we're in the middle of the Give Thanks promotion with United Way, they're like, man, we just can't get there today. And I said, well, that's okay, because I'm sure Jamie will not mind talking about East Robertson the entire hour, because he's a Springfield guy. And so he's been throwing it down. He's like, I got to get in there and talk sports. But then you bring the Bobcat in.
Yeah, I mean,
this is so fun.
This is 100% open. I'm talking to Terrence with Social Dweeb Sports, who he covers all of Springfield stuff.
Yes.
And he's giving us information. They got a big game tomorrow night. If you're a Springfield football fan, you need to pack the house out for those guys tomorrow night.
Henry County.
As they are playing host to Henry County. Both of these county teams have big, tough games. Springfield is going up against a very formidable opponent with Henry County. And East has Tyner Academy coming in, and it's going to be 2 great games in the county tomorrow night.
I love it. All right, guys. And, this is what it's all about. So whatever you want to do with this segment, here's how we're unpacking it. Jamie's slots are every Thursday morning, 7 to 7:30 typically. Sometimes he'll get the hour if United Way can't be here, but he'll come in and he'll bring other folks in from the county, and then he gets an hour on the first Monday of the month. So that's where we've locked him in. So anything you want to hear from, reach out to him, reach out to me. I'll pass it on, but that's what we're talking about. So.
Well, correction, they said, I actually thought Springfield got to come home. I thought they were ranked higher, seated higher than Henry County. But that's not right. They are actually traveling to Henry
County.
Yeah, it's one of those weird years with the bracket, I think.
Okay.
You got to be right on that microphone now, boys.
Sorry, it's one of the weird years with the bracket, I think, because Henry County was the higher seed overall. I think that's how it ended up working out. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they actually beat Springfield, right?
Yeah.
And so my hubby, being he works with the buses, he's like, we're trying to figure out who's going to Henry County Friday night. I said, because sometimes he'll jump in if they don't have somebody, and he loves to do that because he played football through college, and so he just loves hanging out with those kids. He loves hanging out with those students. So you may get Mr. Vivio, I don't know, but somebody will be driving you to Henry County.
That is awesome. It is. So. It is great to see the support, and I'm hoping all those Jackets fans can make the trip to Henry County. If you can't, if you're a Springfield fan and you can't make it to Henry County, you can be like Trent Cobb. Show up in Cross Plains at East Robertson. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trent, we saw you. But yeah, we would love your support as well as being a Robertson County team, and it's going to be a great night of football.
I'm so excited because when we were talking about East Robertson last week, I was telling my husband, I said, well, Jamie says it's a tough hurdle to get over past this game.
Right.
So they've not made it past this game.
No, they haven't made it past the last game.
That's what I'm saying.
So
that's what I'm saying. They're
ever.
just the game that they won. When I found out they won on Friday night, I'm like, oh, that's awesome, because that's a big deal to make it past that hurdle into this level of the playoffs.
They've never played a third-round playoff game ever in the 72
that's
years
cool.
of the school.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So, all right then. So now, Jim, we were calling you the voice of the Bobcats. Do you do football, basketball, just football? What is your role?
So there's a team of us, and we actually, there are 2 of us that are kind of the core group of it, but we have our third friend. We actually share him with East Robertson because he keeps the books for basketball. So Andrew Haley, he's an unofficial member of the voice of the Bobcats.
Just saw Andrew the other night.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yes.
Yeah, we were texting back and forth after the games. We're full in the throes of basketball season. I think there's still a lot of big focus on football. Talking about Greenbrier specifically, we had the football season didn't end up the way that we wanted to. It was an unfortunate end at Lexington in the playoffs, but we're into basketball now. Back to what we do. So we unofficially started doing this in 2017. We do broadcast for football every Friday night. Basketball is something that we've started to dabble into. Actually did a test broadcast on Tuesday night, and it was the first time I've ever called basketball. It was nerve-wracking. I didn't tell many people about it. I gave it to a select few and said, hey, if y'all like me doing this, I'll keep doing it. We've got some plans to start carrying that forward as we go throughout the season. We'll see what happens. We got a game tonight. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to make it tonight, but I think once we get back to it next week, we plan on doing boys, girls basketball throughout the rest of the season. So we'll see how that plans out.
I need you to come talk to my audio video students, because there's 1 or 2 that are coming to mind that might really want to jump in with you on this.
Absolutely.
Because one student in particular who is just deeply into all kinds of sports, and he likes getting out in front. He's done some interviews and stuff for me. I'm not going to call his name. I don't want to put him on the spot, but I think he might, and I know he loves basketball just as much as football.
We'll take so he
might be, and he. I'm not going to say too much more. You'll know who it is. But he might be interested in helping you do some color and things like that. And you know, there's a young man that I know from another county that's how he got his start, and he is now on 99.7.
Oh.
And he's not doing sports; he's doing news. But you just never know what could open up for these students, and so I just love that you're doing this. It's so much fun.
It comes from, like, Jamie made a good point about talking about, you know, you're recognizing all these athletes in the county, and then we were kind of talking when we got here. This is the first time I've officially met Jamie, so I was glad to officially meet him. Yeah, I've been doing this for years. I've been around this area. I've known of Jamie. I've known of what he's doing with East Robertson, so I think what he's doing is great, and we would love to do just as much, if not more, what you guys are doing here with the radio station. It's wonderful, and it's something that's been missing in the county for quite a long time. We were talking when I got here, things I remember as a child. My dad, he was a teacher at Greenbrier, he was a principal at Greenbrier, he was a football coach at Greenbrier.
Oh, wow.
I like joking and saying that I grew up at Greenbrier High School. I literally grew up at Greenbrier High School. I was riding my bikes through the hallways, jumping down and cleaning up under the bleachers and the secret passages that probably most people don't know about, but the little things about that school I've just known, and it's all that I've ever known. And so being able to get back in there and do what we're doing right now, it's great. Coach Elmore made the call to us a couple years back. We were looking to the guy that had carried PA for a good number of years, Butch Savage. He was retiring basically, and they were looking for somebody to take over. And we took over PA for football, and it just kind of evolved. Well, we started out with lapel mics and our iPhones, and boy, we sure quickly learned that was not the way to do it. And now we do everything live, and we archive it. We put it on the internet if you want to go back and listen to it. So it's been exciting, and we're excited to continue to do it.
So you do a full video broadcast.
Not a video broadcast. That video, yes, ma'am, audio.
Okay,
Video is something we've talked about it, and Jamie was actually giving me a little bit of advice that I'm going to take back and we'll talk about it. But video, we learned during the pandemic, the video was the thing that people wanted. You know, they couldn't physically get out, and so now they want to see those things, and it's a lot of consideration to put into. And we kind of have some things in place for basketball through NFHS. They gave all the schools a camera back during the pandemic, and so you could broadcast these types of things. So since we've never done it before, we've already got the equipment in place. We're thinking we're just going to kind of hook up with that, but we'll see where it takes us. I mean, it's every day, every night you're learning something new, because this is all self-taught. You're learning on the job. I am not a professional. I do not have this set up like you do. I do not have the setup like you guys do. But we independently put it together. I cut it. I edit it. We make our own commercials if we do that. We put bumper music. We do any of that stuff, and it's just the two, sometimes the three of us. And we have fun doing it. And again, we're just glad to be involved and be able to talk about all the great things that are happening. Again, it's something that I felt that it's been missing around Robertson County for quite a while. You talk about Blaine. Blaine was on last week. Y'all did a great job carrying the segment, and he had a lot of great things to say about the county. The year that he's been with the Main Street Preps, and the little bit before that, because I believe he wasn't fully signed to them, but Blaine has been very instrumental in bringing that kind of up too, because he's one of the hardest working people out there in the local media. So I will always give credit to him. Before him, there was a handful of people that kind of came and went. They did the same thing, and Blaine just kind of picked up the torch and carrying it on. So I'm very excited that Main Street Preps is so active, and I'm excited to see that we have all these people connected to their schools, whether they were either alumni or just have a strong connection, a passion for whatever's going on there.
Absolutely. This is so cool, because we've got this facility here, and a lot of people don't even realize what's happened with the Ebenezer Broadcasting, and the fact that we do have a full Spanish side, we have a full English side, and there is an app that you can download, and you can hear it worldwide. This is literally a worldwide broadcast facility, and it's incredible what you can do here. So I mean, you guys could get to where you could possibly do a stream on here to where people could hear it. Well, and of course you can do it, via the Facebook and all that right now. But the possibilities are really endless. Yeah. I mean, they really are. And so when you say you're not a professional, yes, you are. You're a broadcaster. You are a broadcaster, and I mean that's what I tell the students. Anybody can be a broadcaster now. If I'd had the technology that these students have when I was a young person, oh heavens.
Oh gosh.
Because I mean, I had so many ideas and so many things I would have loved to have done. I might have got myself in a little bit of trouble without some direction, but you know what I'm saying. There's just the possibilities are just limitless. They truly are. But I'm talking with Jim Sorrells and Jamie Nixon. They're here. Jamie, of course, we're going to talk about what he does with Nixon Pro Media. And why don't you go ahead and plug yourself right there real quick?
Well, Nixon Pro Media, if you're a small to medium-sized business looking for digital marketing, social media content, social media management, build websites, things like that, we would love to sit down and have a consultation with you. And I do that with my team, so it allows me to come do the East Robertson stuff. It allows me to do my hobby. So we just love to see small businesses, medium-sized businesses grow. And we love entrepreneurs. We love brand new companies. We love to brand. We love designing logos all the way down to shooting video commercials.
I love it. And he's already given me some advice on things that we're trying to do, because we have this little piece of property over here about 2 miles from here. My brother, who is a farmer up in West Kentucky, Laverne, I can't believe you're not making some money with that 40 acres, and it's true. When you have something, and we're trying to redefine that and all of that. We're doing photography and it's just so many things. I need one more thing to do, but it's all good. And yeah, I appreciate your advice, and you've already shown me just so much just in talking to you just in the last few weeks. So I'm just glad how God just puts paths together and how he opens doors, and just so thankful to get to meet you.
Thank you.
Because you're part of the Greenbrier family, and I love being a part of the Greenbrier family. So just so many good things going on. I tell you, we're going to pause though. We're going to take a break and talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. My friends in real estate, got a lot of friends in real estate, and that's one thing Barry and Rebecca, they will tell you again and again. Of course they want you to use them. Of course they want you to come and be a part of what's going on at Exit Realty. But they say, really, just use somebody that understands what's going on in Robertson County. And they can't say that enough, because that's what they specialize in. They're part of the Cross Plains community. They've been there for over 20 years. They specialize in Robertson County properties. Now, they do buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. They're the whole package. They Rebecca's one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. So while she came out of a radiology background and went into real estate a long time ago, Barry came out of a marketing background. He was a vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years. He brings that expertise to the real estate table. So if you have property for sale, he's a licensed and insured drone pilot. He does those 360-degree virtual reality home tours, Zillow certified photographer, will get you up on realtor.com, everything you need to make sure when people are flipping through the listings that yours is going to pop and they're going to say, oh, I need to take another look at that. That's what he brings to the table. And again, she brings all the legalese stuff of it. That's what she specializes in. She's going to make sure every T's crossed, every I's dotted, no matter what side of the table you're sitting on. And they even say, are you thinking about getting into real estate just like they did? They had different careers and then got bit by the real estate bug, and they say, come on, we'd love to make you part of the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. And they've got great mentors to help you do that. If you want to contact them, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, or you can connect with them at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or by BUI-RobertsonCounty.com. Always tell them you told me sent you. Here we are on one street over. It is Thursday. We are still in the weekend from here. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad. Don't forget, Christmas parade is happening this weekend. You want to be sure to get downtown. They're having Christmas on the square as well. That's going to be going on throughout the day. But just go to Chamber of Commerce, City of Springfield for all those details. But we're getting close to opening up the Christmas Winter Wonderland that we'll get Terry in to talk a little bit more about. But we've got the Willow Oak concert coming up next weekend. No, it's the weekend. It's not the weekend of Thanksgiving. It's the next weekend. We'll get Lacey in here to talk about that. There's just so much going on. So get your calendars out. Be a part of everything good and beautiful and wonderful going on here in Robertson County. Next Wednesday, I got Tommy Marsh, blues man Tommy Marsh, Josie Award winner, going to be here with me as we as we slide into Thanksgiving. You do not want to miss that. That will be so much fun. And here we are now. We're doing sports. And this is a weekly thing now, every Thursday morning, 7 to 7:30. And beyond, when we get the time, whenever United Way can't make it, we're going to talk about all the Robertson County sports. And then the first Monday of the month is also Jamie's time to come in. So where do you want to go next, gentlemen?
Well, I don't. It feels real awkward saying it's just Jamie's time because it's really, on Mondays we're going to try to bring Blaine Keller in from Main Street,
right?
And he's going to really do a big job about all of the sports in Robertson County. I know we want to talk a little bit today. I was talking to Jim, talk a little bit about. You guys have a verbal commit to the University of Tennessee.
We do. Yes, sir, we do.
So tell us a little bit about that.
I can't talk enough about Nathan Robinson. Nathan Robinson, he's been with this Greenbrier football program all 4 years of high school. Last year alone, he was, whether you want to believe Max Prep's stats, because it's self-reported, but was leading the nation in total sacks at one point last year. Nathan, he's a 3-star prospect by most of the major recruiting services. He has a verbal commitment to play at the University of Tennessee, which is it's great. It's exciting. This is going to be one of the biggest signings from the school in our history. Last year, we had a preferred walk-on in Derek Taylor, so he's been with the team this year. He's been there in the middle of all this success. Nathan, bless his heart, he's been spending every weekend in Knoxville just having to sit through all of these big wins, and he's going to be experiencing this a lot more going forward, it seems. Not exactly sure when his date to officially sign is going to be, but that's going to be the next big thing coming up as far as football goes, is when he signs with Tennessee. So we're all really excited about that. Moving past that, we've got a handful of other guys on that football team that are getting some good looks, and so we'll see this time next year where they're going to be playing ball at the next level. Lots of talent coming back from this year's team, so they're really excited to get back in the weight room, get going. But right now, the big focus at Greenbrier is basketball. We did tip off basketball this week here around the county. Both the boys and the girls picked up big wins over Harpeth on Tuesday night, and they've got a big contest coming up with Pope John Paul Prep tonight. Talking about Pope John Paul, they're both formidable opponents. It's been a while since we have actually matched up with them. Last time, I believe, was 2008. We are both 0-5 all time against Pope John Paul. So this will be an interesting thing to play out tonight. Let's see where we're at. This will be a good litmus test to see about things going forward.
Well, and you're talking about basketball, and that was my sport, because I'm from Kentucky, and I played basketball in the 70s. Okay, I'm old, but 76 to 80 is the years I was on the court. So I'm learning the structure of how we even put the sports out there now, because when I played ball, we had the girls played and then the boys played varsity teams. It wasn't a JV thing. What's the structure of how y'all schedule games now? Do y'all play like that, where you have the varsity girls and the varsity boys all play the same night?
Yes, ma'am. So they'll do JV games and this is how we handle it. I think everybody around the county pretty much handles it. They'll start JV at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, run through those. By the time the boys JV game is finishing up, you've got about an hour, 45 minutes before the girls are going to tip off. So typically start the girls' games about 6 o'clock. Boys' game starts about 7:30, give or take, just depending on how long it went. But yes, ma'am, they cram it all into one afternoon. It's a lot of fun, a lot of basketball in one place if you're willing to sit through all of it.
We'll make it, because I love basketball, and that's something. And I have a hard time with the cold with football. I have a hard time sitting in there. I mean, if you walk around Greenbrier School, a lot of times I have on 2 or 3 layers, and I mean, I freeze, and so I have a difficult time with being outdoors when it's really cold. I'd love to be there tomorrow night for East Robertson. I'd love to go to Henry County. I mean, I love seeing the excitement. I'm not a big sports person. That's one thing when they hired me to do the audio video. I said, now you do understand I'm not a sports person. I get into it. I love watching basketball, but I love watching the playoffs and the excitement of seeing that all build. And I went to, I got to one football game. I'm so sorry. I should have gotten to more than one. It's just, I got busy. I'll do better next year.
Life
I promise I'll do better next year. But I've got a couple of students that are playing basketball, so I want to go see them. I've got a girl and a boy in particular that are on the teams. And so I want to come and see them and support them. And so, I'm excited to see that. And I love the idea of sitting there and watching basketball, throughout. Now, how long does the season run? Because I've been out of it so long. When does it officially wrap
Typically,
up?
your regular season is going to end up around the end of February, beginning of March.
Okay.
There's always snow and ice that messes up the scheduling of everything, so that kind of pushes everything back. But I forget the date off the top of my head, but TLSAA says that you have to start certain rounds of tournaments by certain points to make sure that they can end the state tournament on time. So
Gotcha.
it'll stretch on into the early parts of the spring once it's all said and done.
Okay.
Yeah, the state tournament is usually, the boys' state tournament is usually that March 20th through the 23rd, 21st to the 24th. It's always, it was kind of unique to be sitting there watching East play last year in the state tournament, playing on around March 20th, and knowing that I played my senior year in '92. Our first round of the state tournament was March 20th, and I was like, wow, 30 years later, and I'm
Nice.
I'm back in Murfreesboro, and it was kind of one of those full circle moments. Where you're sitting there, and I was privileged enough to have developed a really good relationship with Coach Kurt Caton, and got to ride the team bus, to the games and back from the games. Got a lot of video content, and it was something that at the very end I was able to make a video and give to the players.
That's
they're
cool.
state champions, and they're like, I had so many parents that said like thanks, and I was like, well, you guys allowed me to be there. So just being able to capture that content, something we don't think about at the moment, and then later on you're like, oh man, I wish I had like pictures and videos, and so that's kind of I wish I had what I had, that I'd given out
Like,
in
man,
'92.
I wish I had that back when I was. Yeah,
but it was, back in '92, it wasn't as easy just
Sure.
carrying around one of these and grabbing a bunch of video clips. So
Oh yeah, it was a little bit more complex.
Yeah.
But when I was there, it really was. But okay, so we've been talking about football, we've been talking about basketball, and I'm sensitive to the fact that we have other sports going on. We've got soccer, we've got baseball, we've got volleyball, we have bowling. I mean, we do, and I wish we had a place for the kids to do swimming. I know we have wrestling. My husband was real. He played. He was that guy that was outstanding in football, outstanding in basketball. Went to college on football, but he also still holds track records at his high school, shot put and disc. And so I recognize, because of him and his love for all of it, it made me look at it. And so, because I had never really thought about the shot put and disc and all of those things that are kind of niche, but man, the athleticism that goes into those things. So where are you guys on some of the other sports? Do y'all follow those as well?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to recognize everybody.
Right.
And so whereas we may not be physically able to attend every single sporting event,
Right.
We make sure that we connect with parents, we connect with students. Hey, feed us this information. And so we're very fortunate that one of our football coaches he also doubles up with track in the spring. And so he will feed us everything. And he's proud of his kids. And so he's always going to brag on his kids. And that's the thing that we've been lucky in this era of social media and the internet. You're being able to get that information out, whereas this may not have been printed in the paper 10, 15 years ago. Now, within 140 characters, I can put something out on Twitter, I can put something out on Facebook and talk about it. And so keeping up with it, I mean, you talk about bowling. Greenbrier sent a couple kids at the state tournament over the last couple of years.
Wow. Okay.
Talk about track and field. We had a good contingent of kids that were competing in the spring last year. Talking about Andrew Haley, we used to joke that he had a picture in the commons area at the high school. He was a discus thrower when he was in high school, and that was back when that stuff nobody was really talking about it, And it's any time that we can talk positively about something great that's going on at Greenbrier High School or around the county itself, that's ultimately that's the end goal.
Well, and one thing too, you think about the conditioning of the athletes that are doing track, and that's such a core of what you're doing with football and basketball. And sometimes you can have a kid that maybe hadn't even thought about coming out for basketball, and they're conditioned really well, and they've got a good shot, and you're like, oh, let's see if we can't, kind of bring that in. And so, and the soccer players with the kickers, I've heard in the hallways them talking to some of my Latino students, going, "Oh, you want to come play football? You're a good kicker."
Yeah,
So
that's exactly what's happening in East Robinson. We have a kicker who came in, and he came in from another school that his family moved in, and I don't believe he kicked for us the first 3 games, and we got a great freshman kicker, but then JR comes in. I believe JR's a junior, and it's like, okay, we got a little bit longer for our freshman guy to develop, get a little stronger. But the other night, in a football game, JR, the kicker's the last guy, for the defense, and so JR sees a guy when he runs over there, and we just hadn't really taught JR how to tackle. So he did
What happened?
So he did a little slide tackle like in football. I mean, like in soccer, and got the penalty for tripping. And but it's always fun to see. And I like to get back to the point about other sports. You know, there was a time where people talked about it. Nobody really admits to it. Certain coaches would say, "Hey, don't go play this other sport." And then you've got people like Saban and Urban Meyer and tons of other college coaches would say, if I've got 2 players and they're almost identical and maybe one of them is a little bit behind this other guy, but this guy played multiple sports in high school, I'm probably taking him. Mm-hmm. And he said, they talked about the specialization of sports, but one thing that Urban Meyer actually said was that I know he's coachable. That he has played in his high school career with different coaches. Mm-hmm. So I think that's also big as well. Yeah, is to get your athletes, get them out there. And of course, in Robertson County, I know Springfield is a good sized school, but at East Robinson, a lot of the kids have to play. In order for us to compete, our best athletes need to play all 3 sports, and we still don't do a great job of it, just because just kids are constantly busy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is. Trying to keep up with the schedules. Our children, we have 4 boys, and they're all. When you see how big I am, and I tell everybody, well, I'm the petite one in the family, and I'm not kidding. I have one that's 16, and but he wasn't really into athletics, but we didn't get our kids involved in baseball simply because of the schedule. And my children to this day, we could have been great, but we could not keep up with it. With 4 kids going, you got to pick something. And we wanted them to do something. We had one that played soccer a little bit. They all touched football at some point, but we had 2 that just didn't have the heart for it. And the big 6'10", that kid could have been anything he wanted with his physique. He just didn't have. You got to have it here to be football, and because it's like the gladiatorial stuff, from history. That's kind of our version of it. It's pretty violent sometimes, man. If you don't have that in you, you can't just create that. You got to have that.
What they say, what the coaches say, you got to have that dog.
Yeah. You really do.
You do.
Yeah, and I had 2 that did and 2 that didn't, and that's just all there is to it. But it's just. Oh, and one thing we did not mention: softball, girls softball. I've got several girls in my life that are big softball players, so that's one thing we can't forget too.
I'm gonna tell you something you need to come out to, and you need to come out to, and maybe we can do something together. Okay. Last year, I believe it was the very first year they did this for softball. Coach Kevin Evans out at East Robinson had a county. First of all, they have like a little county tournament. Yeah. But out at East Robinson, they had a county home run derby. And it was really exciting. A girl from Springfield won. Sorry, I'm forgetting her name right now.
I can't remember it either.
How does that work? I mean, what do you mean? I don't even understand, because this softball and baseball are just, I know, I have a grandson playing, and he's so good, but he's 6. So I don't really know anything about it yet.
They mimicked it off the Major League Baseball. Basically, Major League Baseball, you have a home run derby the night before an all-star game. Okay. And each Major League Baseball player gets somebody, whether it's their hitting coach. Bryce Harper, a couple years ago had his dad. So you pick your own person throwing your pitches. Okay. So it's just like taking BP. So each of the players come out. They had 2 rounds, and you see how many balls you can hit over the fence, and it's pretty exciting. I think, and the girl from Springfield did a phenomenal job. And one thing that was smart that her coach did, her coach bought brand new balls. I was like, hey, that's a smart idea. So just so everybody knows, this year, every hitter will have brand new balls, sponsored by Nixon Pro. I actually told Kevin, I was like, man, this could be really exciting, because some of the girls those balls should have went out of the park, and some of the teams were using, older balls. And
and they just were weighted down from the age.
It's just they don't have that pop in them anymore. I'm not taking anything away from anybody.
No, but
I think the girl, basically the girl from Springfield, still probably would have won. But my thing is like, hey, let's have a ball sponsor. And I told Coach Evans, I said, yep, I will be the first one, and then we'll go from there, because the whole broadcast, when you say, that ball hit out of the park
by Nixon Pro Media. There you go.
But
it's good marketing, man.
But I was really impressed how many people showed up. I mean, of course, the parents of these kids show up, but the rest of the team showed up to cheer on their player, and it became this little county rivalry thing. And I thought it was, and I know that at the Jamboree, the basketball, they have the slam dunk contest and stuff like that. That's a little bit harder. Not everybody has a player that can dunk. Last year it was really exciting when you had Taylor Groves and the other kid. Was it Brandlin?
Bryce. I know Bryson was the big tall kid, and you had
Oscar.
Derek and
who was the kid that?
Gosh, Jamie, I'm sorry.
Me too. So sorry.
Stay on the microphone.
Sorry.
So anyways, but things like that is really exciting. But the softball thing, I will let you know.
Okay.
And that'll be something. I know you're a big female sports person. I know you're a big sports. I mean, not a big sports person, but you definitely want to always give your ladies a shout
to the girls.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, because and I had this conversation with, and I'm going to go. My fellow basketball players back in West Kentucky, be Laverne. I recognize so much of the athleticism of these women who do cheer and all of the dance, all of that. They're athletes, and I know that's not TSSAA, all that, but nonetheless, all these kids that are putting their time in and doing these things to promote their schools and to be involved, it's so good for them. It is so good for them to be involved in these things, and it takes a lot of work. Takes a lot of work.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I mean, cheerleading is TSSAA sanctioned.
Oh, is it?
Like, yeah,
okay, I didn't think it was.
At the basketball, at state basketball, the East Robinson cheerleaders were rewarded as, the cheer team. And Carrie Grimes out there, she does a phenomenal job with the ladies. And she's actually the high school cheerleading coach and the middle school. And she is constantly putting in that time, not only about the cheers, and this is just me observing. So Carrie, if you're watching, if any cheerleading parents are watching, this is something that you guys all should know. Carrie is building young women. Yeah. It's not just cheerleaders, and she is, she's talking about how you act in public, how you carry yourself and things like that. I have personally heard and seen her, just pouring into these young ladies, which I think is very exciting. Unfortunately in cheer, when we look at cheer, we don't look at, there's no defined way to score a point. It's like, baseball, you cross home plate. Basketball, a ball goes in a goal. Football, you go across, goal line. But cheer, the athleticism that happens in cheer is phenomenal. It's just unfortunate we don't look at it because we can't celebrate a score. Yeah. So we have to really understand what it takes to be a cheerleader.
Right.
And when you break it down, if you just slow yourself down and go, they do some pretty amazing things.
It is cool. I'm fascinated when I sit and watch them. It just blows my mind. And Stephen Curtis Chapman's daughter, his youngest adopted daughter, she is cheering at Alabama. And he grew up in West Kentucky, so I have a connection to that family through them. So I've been watching her, and some of the stuff that child does. Oh my word. I mean, just the flipping and the doing all that just blows my mind. I mean, you talk about athletes, when you talk about the gymnast and all of those things. And I just had never really looked at it until their daughter started cheering down in Alabama and seeing it, and it's just incredible. I mean, what the athleticism of these cheerleaders. So we just want to give a nod to all of them. So if any of those guys want to come in and talk about some of their competitions coming up, that's a part of this as well.
I know Greenbrier, both the high school and the middle school, their cheerleading teams are going to be competing at nationals coming up in February. They earned their bid just a couple weeks ago. I'll talk about Coach Herndon at Greenbrier. She has done an excellent job with that program. I can't remember how many years exactly she's been involved with, but the bigger picture, the bigger point of what I would make is that she's an alumni. She graduated from Greenbrier. She was a cheerleader on that squad once upon a time. She's come back. She's built the program herself, and now they're competing at a high level. And like that I love it. I think it's great. It's absolutely great.
Herndon, that's a Greenbrier name.
So right? Herndon is a Greenbrier name. So her husband is Roger. Okay. Roger, who will probably go down as one of the greatest athletes in school history. He was a Mr. Football Award winner, carried us all the way to a state championship game when I was in high school in football. I mean, he was an incredible athlete. Stephanie, all credit to her. She was an exceptional athlete as well when she was a part of that cheerleading program in high school. And so it's genetics at that point. I guess they're just leading a great group going forward.
Well, I have to talk to Roger because if he was that good, I got a lot of questions to ask him about Jodan Cornett because I heard Jodan Cornett was that good.
Let's talk about Jodan. So Jodan, and if you're watching Jodan, I'm sorry, but Jodan all-region punter when we were in high school. excellent athlete, Jodan Cornett. I can't I will talk all day about the 11 guys that I graduated with, because we held it together for so many years, working up through that football program, and then finally making it to our senior year. And our senior year, we beat White House for the first time in 20 some odd years. And that was
I've heard about that so much.
We could have lost every other game that year, but that will go down as the one that we will forever remember right there.
So I'm an East Robertson guy, but my kids played sports at White House. And so my son was a 3-year starter at quarterback for White House, and me and Jodan are really good friends. But the way we got connected is Jodan sent me Jim's number, and for me to get, and so Jodan is a joint friend of ours, and that is his name, Jodan Cornett. Yep. And he was I say phenomenal. He was a really good athlete there, and but he talks about that game about White House, and it's so funny because it's on YouTube somewhere.
Mm-hmm. It's on my page actually.
Oh, nice!
Because he sent me the link. He sent me the link. He's like, "Man, you can go here and watch me. Watch me play."
That's so fabulous.
Jodan was our worship leader at our church. So and currently he works for Daywin, who puts out all that quartet music and stuff like that. But they do a lot more stuff other than just that. You probably have heard about them there.
Okay,
but he is definitely in the music business. Great guy, great friend, and he is definitely a Bobcat to the core. And then he's also a Kentucky fan, but we won't hold that against him.
Oh, okay. Don't start that. I had the conversation with my mother the other day, because I left Kentucky at 17. Okay, and I'm about to turn 60. So I said, I think I'm a Tennessean. She goes, no. No. You grew up in Kentucky. You're a Kentuckian, Laverne. She was chastising me because I call myself a Tennessean. She goes, because she's from Farmington, up in West Kentucky, but she lives now, and she's been in the Bose and Mayfield area, and she goes, I'm always from Farmington. And she goes, you're going to always be from Kentucky. Let me pause and take a break here. Yeah. I had some questions from all of that, and I kind of forgot them. But as we're continuing on, if you have any questions for Jim Sorrells is here, and Jamie Nixon, and he's Nixon Pro Media, but he's also East Robertson Athletics. I thought of my question. I'm going to challenge you guys. I need to know about Muriel Barnett. I don't know what her maiden name was, but she was like some over-the-top star basketball player when she was in high school. Do you know what I'm talking about?
So Miss Barnett, I knew her as Miss Samuels when she was my algebra teacher in high school. I do not know the story of her athletic career, but I've also heard those same things. I know her son is doing some great things. He has worked his way up through the ranks. I'm not exactly sure where he was coaching. I know he's down at
Texas
Lipscomb
now.
Academy. Okay,
yeah,
I know he's at Lipscomb Academy at one point, but he's doing some great things as well. Gosh, I wish I knew all those stories, because
I want you to find out, because she's one of my best friends, and I get little hints that she was like a all-star. I mean, just over-the-top all-star basketball player. I would love to hear somebody tell a story about her, and she's like, Laverne, shut up. She's probably listening right now. But I would love to hear some stories of her exploits. But she's just a couple of years younger than me, so we're talking, I guess she was probably on the court, I'm guessing, 80, 1980 for sure, but I don't know what year she graduated. Okay. So I'm challenging y'all. I need to hear about Muriel's days on the basketball. Of course, we won't talk about the fact that they played half court. That was just, us Kentucky girls just completely mocked that, because we were always full court players. But anyway, I'm sorry, I digress, showing my age. I'm going to talk for a minute about Cumberland Connect. I can't wait. They've got their roll of lines hanging on my utility pole. So Cumberland Connect's been there. They're not ready to connect to my house yet. And then I was talking with, I forget who was giving me all the details about how the process worked. I think maybe it was Dr. Causey. But he says basically they get to your yard, and then they have to connect to your house, and then they'll make an appointment to come in and connect in the house. But for those of us who have suffered through terrible internet for so long, I'm so ready for it, especially since I've started this photography. I cannot do any of my photography work from my home when it comes to trying to get the images to my customers. I actually did some pictures. We did some pictures. One of my students, Calendar, and I took some pictures at Recovery Court the other day. And I had those for a week before I finally remembered to tap into the internet while I was here or while I was at the church. Because always before I started working at the school, I was at the church all day. I could take take during my lunch, use the internet, load pictures if I needed to. But now I have a very limited window where I can actually take and load everything to Dropbox and send them to my customers. So I had those things for like a week and a half before I remembered to send them because I don't have good internet. That's my point. And I can't wait. Cumberland Connect, this is internet with speeds up to 1,000 megabits per second. That's a gig, y'all, for $80. Are you kidding me? That's incredible. I pay $65 right now for terrible internet from AT&T. I just cannot wait to turn you off. I can't wait to turn off Dish Network. I can't wait to turn off AT&T and all of the things and go strictly to Cumberland Connect. That's my plan. As soon as they're in my yard, man, I am going to start cutting everything else and go strictly with them. They're going to help me with my phone service. I am thrilled. I'm going to have 24/7, 365 days a year that you're going to be able to get tech support, local tech support, y'all. You get a state-of-the-art Wi-Fi 6 router included with internet service at no extra charge. They got a referral program. And so you don't know a lot about internet and you don't understand all this, how it can help you. They've got workshops. You can go to www.cumberlandconnect.org/workshops and check out the workshops that they have going on to keep you fully apprised of everything going on, when they're going to be in your neighborhood. You can plug in your zip code and see when the projected date is they're going to get to you. If you are a Cumberland Electric customer, you're going to have access to this. It is so exciting. I can't wait. So go and check it out, www.cumberlandconnect.org, or go www.cumberlandconnect.org/workshops if you want to know more about that. Always please tell them that I sent you so they know that they're advertising dollars. And we are back with the show here, extending their time because United Way is busy with their give thanks. I'm trying to think of the exact what they call it, but it's where they put the boxes together and they are going to folks who need help with Thanksgiving, and they're kind of at the end of that. If you want to help out, get a hold of United Way, get a hold of Tiffany, get a hold of Brian, and they will let you be a part of that. But their Give Thanks campaign does a lot of good in this community, and I can't say enough about it. So reach out to them, but they couldn't be here today because of that. So I said, Jamie, y'all can hang out with me until 8 o'clock. What else y'all want to talk about, y'all?
The cool thing is that we still have football to talk about,
yes.
Which I know that you guys already started in basketball. We started in basketball last Tuesday, the 15th. We hosted Portland, and the games were good. With no girls games, the Portland girls were playing somewhere else in a Hall of Fame game, and some of these games at the very beginning of the season are these Hall of Fame games. I don't want to say they're exhibition games, but they're just those games where you're kind of just tuning up. You kind of just go and you see what you got. We traveled to Gordonsville this Saturday. Our girls play 11, boys play right after that, and it was interesting for us because we had projected only one starter because of how many football players that we still have playing football. But nonetheless, the role players stepped up and had a really decent game. Came up a little bit short, but definitely let some of these guys get some of the playing time. And some of these guys are going to be, some of the guys that are coming off the bench to really help us on that title defense. It's kind of unique because we kind of always understood back in the the 80s and the early 90s that a lot of teams are always gunning for East Robertson, just because when you win, people gun for you. When you win, people either really, really love you or they can't stand you. And so these kids are going to start understanding that is like there's going to be things where some of these teams like, well, we beat them. They were state champions last year. So that's one of those things where they have to understand and don't think that Portland came in and said, oh, well, hey, you don't have you're missing some of your players. Who cares?
They got the win. That's all they're saying.
Yeah.
Look at us. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's not that. I'm not saying that they're putting a lot of value on that. I'm just saying that people as a school, and that's just the way it is. I mean, all the years that Mason, Coach Mason Clint and his dad before him, Greenbrier was a solid basketball team, and people wanted to come beat Greenbrier. That was just the fact of the matter. There's been a lot of, when Coach Darden was in Springfield, it had a lot of great teams with like Robert West and Carlos Cook and people like that. People wanted to come up here and they wanted to beat Springfield. And the reason why they want to beat you is because you have a great program and you're one of the better teams in the Middle Tennessee area.
And so is that rivalry. Go ahead.
I was going to say I love that he's talking about, the early season stuff with basketball, and I hate this, especially when teams like East Robertson and Springfield are still playing, because where we're out of the playoffs, we've got everybody in the mix. We've got a couple injuries that we're working with, especially with the boys team, to try to get everybody back in a rotation and get going. But you can't get that feel just yet. But the point that you were making, talking about these younger kids getting some playing time right now, in my opinion, that's what worked well for East Robertson last year. Those kids that were getting the early season playing time, that carried their depth into that state tournament, and it was that depth that carried them through and pulling off some crazy miracles, half-court shots, and all that wild stuff. So I love this time of year, especially when these younger kids get a chance to play like that, because that's exactly, you're building towards the future.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That. It's really unfair. We had there was the Jamboree last weekend, and Greenbrier and East, they matched up, and they played a little bit of basketball, and Greenbrier came away with the win. That's not going to be the same situation as it's going to be in the spring. So you got to wait to the spring to really see how everybody's putting things together. Greenbrier took advantage of that last year. They gelled really well together. The group that is on the team now, they play with each other year round. There's a handful of football players that kind of mix in and out, but for the most part, that core group, they're playing an AAU team over the summer. Like they're working together, and they never stop. Like they're already in midseason form as they hit the regular season, and then everybody else is going to catch up with them. Because of that, we were able to string together 15 straight wins. That's a school record last year. 25 wins in a season. That's the second best record in school history. Setting single game records for 3-point shots, for blocks, for steals, all that kind of stuff. And so those were all those younger depth players that were doing that stuff last year. And so now you've got those kids that are seniors at Greenbrier. They're really looking to make some noise this year. Same way with the girls. They both picked up big wins on Tuesday. Girls only won 9 games last year, but towards the end of the season, they put it together. They beat Portland twice within a number of weeks to win the consolation game in the district tournament. They shouldn't have even been in that. Shouldn't have been in that contest last year. So Greenbrier, the Lady Cats, they're looking to build off that late season success. The Bobcats, they felt like they were robbed. Like they have a lot still yet to prove, and so they've got a chip on their shoulder, and they're ready for battle. And you're talking about East Robertson defending a state title. Those kids are hungry. I love Coach Caton. Coach Caton, Greenbrier graduate, by the way. Coach Caton, I love the program that he's put together out there. It's been really exciting to see what he's doing, and it all goes back to that bigger overall thing that we're saying. That this county is so full of great talent, and it's not just sports; it's everything that's going on in the schools. And so where we come into play, we try to recognize all of that stuff, and it's you got to talk about it. Nobody's going to know about it unless you're talking about it. And so I always say, if you want me to talk about it, send it to me. I email all these people. I'm friends with them on social media. Please send this stuff to us. Right. We want to talk about you. We want to talk about your kids. We want to talk about all the things, because you said it too. We can't be everywhere at once, so we've got to rely on those people that are very supportive of us. And I appreciate all the support that I get. I know you're more appreciative of the support you get. I think it's great, everything that's starting to happen here around this county. Not just the successes that the teams are having, but just the ability to go on social media and talk about it, and it get whatever reaction, and everybody be excited about something. It's all about passion and pride in the end.
And if you haven't noticed, me and Jim, we like to talk. So
I'm loving it.
Just give us some stuff to talk about, and we will definitely get it covered. And it's one of those hard things, because you do have some parents that's like, well, how come you're not doing this, and how come and you just have to take a deep breath and say, hey, send it to me. Let me figure out how to talk about it. Like I love, there is a family that is diehard soccer at East Robertson, and they have a Strikers Club Facebook page, and they do a lot of live stuff there. And I can't make, during football, during basketball, you can't make it to every single thing, but I can share it, and so we try to do that. We're hoping in the near future that we're going to get some facility upgrades where we can actually cover soccer, because soccer is not played on our football field. It's played out at the old football field behind the elementary school. And so there's some things that we need to do out there to actually cover boys and girls soccer, but it's coming, and basically you talked about the COVID, and about how people want a video. That is and I love your story about how you guys got into it. Coach Elmore said, hey, the PA, the public address announcer.
And now we're SIDs at the school, and we're part of the athletic club. Like it just...
SID as well, and I'm sitting there, but the way it started was Terry Allen Groves, Taylor Groves, Sean Groves' father, who I played high school basketball with. His father, James Terry Groves, phenomenal man, spent the night over their house several times back in high school. He was at a point where he could not physically come to games, and I was doing this kind of at White House with another guy, and he said, "Hey man, why don't you bring your talents home? And Dad's not going to be able to come out a lot." And so that was the reason why, that I started to begin with, and it would start off just going to be football. Well, I played basketball, so it's like, and I've had tons of people say, "Dude, you're way better basketball, announcer, play-by-play." So it's funny when you were saying it was nerve-wracking for you to do basketball. I welcome basketball, and my football knowledge. I do believe I have good football knowledge, and I believe we've gotten better, but definitely basketball was my wheelhouse. And that's how it started. It starts out of necessity. It starts out of people desiring something, and you give to people what they want. Now, through that, we've been able to raise a lot of money for our sports programs through the live streams, and so that's a way of, the money that we have raised, the coaches haven't even worried about it. I go out and find my own sponsors, basically, and then turn around and just take that money and say, "Hey, coach,
hey,
quarterback club, here's some money," And it's just it's a win-win.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, the possibilities are really endless. It really is. And I tell everybody, we've got an amazing facility here. All these things that you guys are doing. This is a suggestion. Have y'all thought about putting together some kind of a sports workshop for somebody that might want to do this? Just maybe just one Saturday, sitting down and just saying, "Here's how we do this. Other schools do this." Okay. Well, have you already talked about that?
How about you look at your calendar, we look at our calendar, and we figure out when we're going to fit that in.
I know, but I mean, it's one maybe in the winter, maybe in the winter.
Something definitely that we can look at, but like right now, I'm just not allowed to put anything. Per my wife, I'm not allowed to put anything else on my calendar.
Well, my husband too. The other day, we were talking to the recovery court, and they asked me to be on the board. And he's like, "That's just another night for you to not be with me." And I'm like, "Oh, stop." But I mean, we could. I know ILU would let you have a meeting here if you wanted to during the winter or something.
That'd be
we
awesome.
could do it at any of the schools too. But maybe you come into the radio facility, you might bring some people out and say, "Hey, let's get together and talk about how do you do these things."
Yeah. If you are affiliated with the school, I'm going to go ahead and let everybody know. If you're affiliated, we really need somebody from Joe Burns. I got somebody lined up from Heritage, and I know Terrence can't make it out to a lot of, but if you have the endorsement of the school, and that's the only prerequisite that I think I kind of have for the radio thing, for coming in and talking to you, and you just have to do that to cover so that no one's on here speaking about things that the school doesn't have somebody that they trust.
Right.
We would love to have you guys on. Just contact either Laverne or myself, and we would love to have you on. Jim's going to come on as well. And it's just one of those things. You got somebody who can come on, and that's the people that are going to be able to come on and talk about their schools. But we want to talk about all the schools.
Absolutely. We want to get everybody covered. And there are just so many wonderful things going on. I do have to do one more commercial, and we'll come back and wrap it up. And talking about something you mentioned, saying you tell everybody, send me the information, send me the information. I say the same thing, too. And I don't want to neglect something that was sent to me that is about one of our foreign exchange students from Miss Becky Haywood. They are still looking for housing for a foreign exchange student from Columbia. His English skills are excellent, loves sports, has good grades. She said, "Do you think Greenbrier could enroll him?" I don't know, but I want to put it out there. You got to have a host family first. But we have a student from that has been up in Kentucky that needs a new host family, and he's from Columbia. Excellent young man from what I'm hearing about him. So if that's on your heart to host a foreign exchange student, somebody at Greenbrier, I mean, sounds like a great guy. And just great experience when you're around these folks from other countries. I can't say enough about the experiences. I have a lot of friends that are newcomers to this country. Cannot say enough about how powerful that's been in my life. So I highly recommend that. Now we're going to talk about our friends at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. If you're looking for somebody to help you with CBD, because my hip replacement doctor told me to use CBD if I didn't want to take pharmaceuticals for my arthritis. I have very bad arthritis, but it doesn't bother me. And one of the reasons is because, or at least not very much, but I started using CBD a long time ago whenever he recommended it, and it's been a game changer for me when it comes to inflammation issues, and it may be for you. That's what they do during the winter is they have all the other things going on. Of course, they have the house plants. You want some succulents. You want to bring some life into your home to brighten things up. They're going to hook you up with all that. But they're also always working with CBD products to help people with inflammation issues. If you're having sleep issues, they've got the salves and things like that that are great for bug bites, all kinds of things, aches and pains. My mother uses their salve that she and Amy and Miss Jane make right there in the house, but great company. They have so many things going on. Yes, they're busy during the winter, and their hours have been cut back a little bit. They're open still 7 days a week. They'll get to where they probably won't be there on Sunday as they get into the cold months, but right now you can still see them 10 to 4 Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday from 1 to 4. Go by and see them today. Talk to Miss Amy. Talk to her. See if she's got some room for some Christmas decorating. They do that as well. But get by there today and talk to them and tell them you can send you. Real quick, guys, we're right on top of the hour here. Parting thoughts, guys.
Well, just want to, earlier in the broadcast, said that Henry County was coming to Springfield. Springfield is on the road to Henry County. Just want to reiterate that. 7 o'clock game time. Also 7 o'clock game time for Tyner Academy coming out to visit East Robertson. If you're coming out, it's going to be cold. It's going to be 28 degrees game time. And, basically it's like with those old Packers and Bears games. Hey, it's going to be cold. And if cold is the problem, then don't show up. If cold is really a problem, don't show up. But definitely would love a lot of people to come out and support the East Robertson Indians as they continue to march closer to that championship game in Chattanooga.
Absolutely.
Plenty of friends to huddle around with and hug up on while you're out there.
That's
so
right.
I love that.
I've been at Lambeau at 0 kickoff, so I'm just saying you can do it. It's hard, but you can do it. It won't be 0 at kickoff, so I have endured that. So, just bundle up, put some heater thingies in your shoes, and just wrap up good. All those little heater things, just stick them all over your body. You'll make it. But my husband, of course, he may be driving Henry County too. I haven't really heard. So, but there's good football. Bottom line is you've got an opportunity to watch football tomorrow night with East Robertson here local. Go to Henry County with Springfield. Oh my goodness, in the playoffs. How exciting for these students, for the coaches. I'm so excited. So thank y'all for being here.
Yep.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet you.
Thank you.
My fellow Bobcat here, Jim Sorrells, and Jamie Nixon from Nixon Pro Media. I'm so sorry about Blue.
That's fine.
Thank y'all for joining us, and thank you for joining me here on One Street Over. Tomorrow is our Faith Friday segment. Oh, Rachel Culver's here. Rachel Culver will be in the house. Y'all know how just my sister. Love that woman. She is anointed. It is so fun to talk to her. Just never know what she's going to come up with. Gwen Harder may come and join us. They're getting in from the Holy Land. Gwen says she might make it. We'll see. She's going to have some serious jet lag. It's going to be fun tomorrow. The girls are going to be here for Faith Friday. You want to join us for that? And appreciate you joining us here today. God bless. Have a wonderful day. This is 1100 WSGI.